we are meeting the UGs or the PGs today.
Both, sir.
Both.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining us in this second open house with the class of 2020 and their parents. I, Manimala, welcome you all to this open house. We have with us today Professor Dr. C. Rajkumar, founding Vice Chancellor, OP Jindal Global University. We also have with us Dean R. Sudashin, the founding Dean of Jindal School of Government and Public Policy. Professor Bhuvneshwari Raman, Academic Dean of BA Social Science and Policy and MA Public Policy. Professor Sonali Roy, Academic Dean of BA Economics and MA Economic. We also have with us other professors from the JSGP, Professor Amninder Thakur, Shweta Shiri, and other distinguished professor of JSGP. We also have the students of our previous batches from Masters in Public Policy of 2016 batch, as well as 2017 batch, and the fresh graduating batch, which is 2020. We have with us Aditya Vishisht, who was the class representative of 2017 batch, Aparna Sivaraman, who was the president of Student Council of 2017 batch, 2016 batch, and Aparna Raman, who was also the student of 2016 batch, Ronit, who was the vice president of Student Council in the batch of 2017-19. So now I would like to welcome Dean Sudashin, the founding Dean of Jindal School and Government and Public Policy. He is a Rhodes Scholar. He had done his master's in economics from Delhi School of Economics, his master's degree in politics from the University of Oxford, research fellowship from the University of Cambridge, and he holds a vast experience from the Ford Foundation and UNDP. So I welcome Professor Sudashin on, and he will take over the session from here.
Thank you, Mani. You are the master of ceremony, so I'll speak since you've invited me to speak. I'm very happy to join this open house with prospective students and their parents. And I'm very grateful to the Vice Chancellor for sparing time amidst so many other considerations and obligations that he has, which just underlines that from the outset, we place a lot of primacy on the concerns of students and their parents. As a university, we exist because there are students and parents, and without them and without being committed to serving them, we wouldn't be in this business. So I welcome all those prospective students and parents who've joined, and would encourage them to take advantage of this open house, which is very non-hierarchical, and your questions could be answered by the Vice Chancellor, by former students, by current faculty, whoever is in a position to tackle any kind of question that you might have, we will take it up. And also our wonderful staff in the admissions office, with whom you've been in more regular contact than this occasional open house that we're having now. I just want to take a few minutes to introduce the school. The School of Government and Public Policy was started in 2012, and I took early retirement from the United Nations Development Program and joined the school as its founding Vice Chancellor at the invitation of our Vice Chancellor. And when we started, the MA in Public Policy was absolutely the first of its kind. So this is a pioneering school in that sense, because all public policy education before we commenced the MA program was for mid-career professionals, officers of the Government of India and the state governments, and for some mid-career corporate executives who obviously had an interest in public policy. And so we kind of established a program in the Lal Bahadur Shastri National Academy in Mussoorie to focus on public policy, as well as in the Center for Public Policy at the Indian Institute of Management in Bangalore. I say this because I was in a previous avatar in UNDP working in India, involved in the establishment of the Center for Public Policy at IIM Bangalore and the MIDS in Gurgaon. So there was no possibility for someone who's finished an undergraduate program and is interested in public policy and public affairs to acquire qualifications that particularly suited their ambition to be involved in matters related to policy until we started the program. And so I'm take this opportunity to express my gratitude and appreciation to our former students who are here, who were in a way pioneers themselves, because they signed on to a course which was brand new and untested. And one didn't know what opportunities there would be for employment in public policy at that time. We are much clearer now about what the range of things that a person with qualifications in public policy could do. We were able to start this program because there was a change in the attitude of government and civil society in the country. Earlier, the belief was that only people within the government need worry about public policy, and the citizens are the subjects, so to speak, of public policy decisions. Now that viewpoint has changed, and there's a recognition on the part of both the union government and the state governments that they need to reach out to think tanks, research bodies, universities, academics, to get inputs for policy making. And the common phrase that's come into force is evidence-based policy making. But the evidence, of course, is analyzed and found outside of government for the most part, because administrative data has limitations, and the sample survey data and the census data require people with some skills to be able to draw inferences from them. And the government is more outward looking and open. It is no longer, as Professor Rajni Kothari once described, knowledge proof. Our government is now open to knowledge from other sources for its policy making purposes, and therefore it increases the opportunities that our students will have to contribute to policy making, either directly by joining the government if they so wish and are able to, or more often indirectly, but in very meaningful and productive ways. So having started the MA in public policy, we decided to start a program in economics, the BA honors in economics. Now again, this is not like any other BA honors program in economics that you might find in most universities in the country, because it's a program located in the School of Public Policy. So obviously, the economics that we focus on and teach is economics that is responsive to current needs. And economics as a discipline is not static. It's been vibrant and it's been changing. Right now, we can see that COVID-19 has brought a big change in the way what is considered to be orthodox economics. For a long time, we had, a set of doctrines that came out of John Maynard Keynes. Then the world saw a period which Keynes didn't anticipate, which is known as stagflation, where there was both inflation and unemployment, which is not a combination that Keynes had anticipated, but it happened. And that led to another school of economics called the monetarists, led by Professor Milton Friedman, who advocated that we must worry about inflation because the long-term stability of an economy and the long-term prospects for its growth turn greatly on inflation, and inflation can be very harmful to particularly to poor people. So it's also very regressive. So we got into a monetarist phase. But after now, the COVID lockdown and the economy being put in stoppage, so to speak, all of those monetarist principles are being questioned. In other words, they have been jettisoned, and we have to find new economic rationale to deal with the situation. Apart from stimulating the economy, we also have to worry about what should be the fiscal deficit, what is the danger to inflation even now, but how do you work on both the supply side of the economy and the demand side of the economy. So we're getting back to something that the early economists were worried about or thinking about, which was production. How do you get production going? And then of course, because of the knowledge that we've got from Keynesian analysis, we also know that it's important to stimulate aggregate demand. So I'm just saying all this to show that the way economics is taught in the Jindal School of Government and Public Policy is economics that is in the frontier, is at the forefront, the cutting edge, whatever word you wish to use. So we not only have the BA honors in economics, but this year we're going to start the MA in economics. So since our graduates may wish to continue with an advanced study in economics. And again, that MA program is designed to both create a program where if someone wants to be recognized and qualified, say, to teach economics, to do a PhD in economics, and to take academics as a serious profession, they would have the wherewithal to do it. But equally, it'll give students the capacity to contribute to policy making and a whole array of opportunities where practical knowledge of economics is to be welcomed and used. And we are also starting this year a new program, which I'm very excited about, which we are calling the BA in Social Science and Policy. And I want to underline that we are calling it social science because, the natural sciences, as you know, look at the world, the natural world, plants, animals, the planets, astronomy, whatever, chemistry, physics. Those are called the natural sciences. And the counterpart of that, dealing with people, human beings, in their relationship with other human beings and with nature and the environment, is social science. But over time, people have unnecessarily got narrow in their specialization and created silos between economics, politics, sociology, anthropology, and subdivisions within them. This has been one of the trends in academia that I think our current COVID crisis is going to reverse, because we now understand that you cannot tackle a pandemic like the COVID-19 only using epidemiology. You need to understand people, you need to understand culture, you need to understand faith, the religious beliefs of people. You have to understand a whole lot of things, which is what human beings are all about. Because we are not an economic man or a political man or the social person. We are all that together. And so our commencement of the social science and policy, I would say, is as exciting and as pioneering as our commencement of the MA in Public Policy program was. So we've got this array of 4 exciting programs. Some of you may have shown an interest in one or the other of them. We can discuss the details a little later. But what I want to emphasize is that the university as a whole believes in interdisciplinarity. It doesn't mean that you kind of, in my case, for instance, I studied economics, then I switched and did a whole year of philosophy, then I studied politics, then I went off and did studies in an area which I now regard myself as most knowledgeable, which is constitutional law. But all this was sequential and paid for by generous scholarships, and I had a great deal of luck. But what I'm trying to say is that our programs in our school are designed in such a way that you don't need to spend all that time, 15 years in university and get educated in the process. you can learn as much in a much shorter time, and you can be much more interdisciplinary from the outset. You don't have to learn disciplines one after the other, as I had to do in my time. So this element of interdisciplinarity, the ability to make connections, to draw insights from multiple disciplines and apply them to practical problems that you face around you, or in any organization, in any place that calls for judgment combined with an application of knowledge, and to be able to find out what is the right knowledge and what is the right set of issues that you need to take up, and having the skill to do that. So it's a combination of being able to pick the knowledge that's necessary for a context and the skill to apply that knowledge to find solutions in that context. So this is all what we aim to do in the school. And in the process of doing that, we can be successful only if we have the fantastic participation of students, because it's their questions, their curiosity, their involvement, which will what give life to the way we run these programs. We don't like to teach out of a textbook. We'd like our students to be alive and concerned about issues and problems that are going on around them, and which they will eventually encounter over time, and to be able to use good practical judgment, and at the end of it, become very good persons. Because one of the underlying motto of our university is it's a private university promoting public service. So it's a quality of other regardingness, to care for others, and to say, my life would be fulfilling and flourishing only if I'm able to do something that helps others, other people, or even animals or nature or the planet, whatever. But other regardingness is a graduate aptitude that I think our alumni will all have. So I'll stop with those words of introduction to the program and the school, and request the Vice Chancellor to talk about the university itself, all of the significant achievements the university has had in a very short period of time, and why it stands out in the firmament of universities as a stellar institution.
Let me introduce Professor Dr. C. Rajkumar, the founding Vice Chancellor of OP Jindal Global University. He is also the founding Dean of Jindal Global Law School, Director of International Institute for Higher Education Research and Capacity Building. He has 7 books and over 150 publications to his credit, and he has published widely in the peer-reviewed journals. So I would like you to now welcome our new students of class 2020. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Manimala, and thank you, Sudashin, for being here, and Ankur and Hemant and the whole admissions team, the faculty members of JSGP. First of all, let me extend my congratulations to all the students who have been admitted to the Jindal School of Government and Public Policy into 2 of its undergraduate programs. So those students who have completed your 12th standard, congratulations to you. And those who are planning to join the BA Economics Honors and the BA in Social Science and Policy Honors, congratulations to you as well. I also want to take this opportunity to congratulate the students who are joining the MA Public Policy and the MA Economics, both of which are master's degree programs offered by the Jindal School of Government and Public Policy. I want to say that this is an extraordinarily difficult moment for all of you as parents and students, particularly the high school students who are planning to enter into college, but also the graduates who are planning to enter into postgraduate or master's programs. The difficulty is multifold. The uncertainty, the volatility, the anxiety is writ large about the future. But I wanted to say a few things that I think is important at this moment more than ever before. Increasingly, the world is expecting a lot of leadership that ought to emerge from universities and knowledge-creating institutions. There is so much of problems, including the current crisis, but also, as Sudashin said, the consequences of this current crisis is not limited to the healthcare and public health system that we are talking about. It has huge impact on economy, on politics, on society, and on governance, all of which are directly connected to the 4 degree programs that the Jindal School of Government and Public Policy offers to different sets of students. The second thing I will say is that as we look at the future, we are obviously going to overcome the COVID-19 crisis. Both Sudashin and I had the privilege to be in Oxford, so we are somewhat also very delighted to see that the University of Oxford is playing a lead role in coming up with the vaccine, and it has shown enormous promise among many other efforts that are being undertaken around the world. So realistically, there is a very strong hope that by the middle of next year or maybe end of next year, we should be in a position in which the world can be completely vaccinated, if not a large part of the world as well. And India will play a very important role in manufacturing of vaccine as well as distribution of vaccine and all of that. So I'm prepared to recognize the current crisis, but I also want to tell you, particularly the young people who are here and their parents, that we will overcome the COVID-19 crisis successfully, and we will have, when your children graduate from both the undergraduate programs and the master's degree programs in a few years from now, after they complete it in JSGP, we will be in a world which will be free from COVID-19. But it is also equally important that this is a moment for us to recognize the importance of education. Why high quality education is so critical for the future of all of us. And it is in this context that I want to share a short story about the evolution of this university. I had the privilege to study in University of Delhi, and then I got the Rhodes Scholarship to go to Oxford, like Professor Sudashin, who was also a Rhodes Scholar many years ago. Oxford, in the year 1998, when I was a student, I was hugely inspired by what I saw and experienced at Oxford. I felt that such was the extraordinary nature of that institution. It was inspiring, deeply impacting me personally, and also I was conscious of how it has impacted generations of students about their own futures. I asked myself, are there universities like this in India? I was, of course, conscious of some institutions at that time, but I also believed that such was the impact of the experience of being at Oxford. I questioned myself and thought that, you know what, we need to have universities like this in India. After which I got a few more fellowships to go to Harvard. I did a master's degree in Harvard, and I was even more inspired there in the US. And then I worked in New York at a law firm, did a fellowship in New York, taught in Japan, and for many years in Hong Kong. And during the years 2002 and 2008, I was traveling around the world looking at universities because I became obsessed with the idea of wanting to build a university in India. I was hugely inspired by the evolution of American higher education, strong emphasis on private, not-for-profit, philanthropic universities, the great universities of the United States, including Harvard, Yale, Stanford, MIT. All of them were private universities, not-for-profit institutions, philanthropically evolved. So I was thinking such could be a model of institution building in India. And I was conscious of the fact that the larger imagination of India was public universities from both pre-independent India and post-independent India, and till the late 80s and early 90s, when we opened up the higher education sector into private participation, which did not, unfortunately, lead to creation of high-quality institutions. We ended up creating a lot of mediocre, for-profit, dubious institutions in the private sector. To cut the story short, I got to write a paper entitled Establishing India's First Global University, and got to meet with a person by name Mr. Naveen Jindal. I met him in 2006 and spent a lot of time for over a year, and persuaded him to make an important commitment towards nation building, which is to invest in the idea of a university, make a commitment to doing it in a not-for-profit manner, and let us have the academic freedom and autonomy and independence to build a world-class university. Mr. Jindal himself had studied in the United States, went to the University of Texas in Dallas, was conscious of how American universities were shaping the future, was deeply committed to the idea of nation building, and hence moved forward with that idea. And as it can be said, the rest is somewhat of a history. Late 2007, I moved to India, early 2008, and we began the process of institution building. In a span of less than 6 months, we went through a regulatory process, and then of course acquired land and did all of that. And by early 2009, the government of Haryana passed a legislation establishing OP Jindal Global University as the first private university in the state of Haryana. As late as 27 January 2009, that happened. Immediately thereafter, we began the process of construction of campus, recruitment of faculty, and admission of students. And as promised to Mr. Jindal, on 30th September 2009, we began the first academic session of the first school of the university, Jindal Global Law School, with only 100 students and 20 faculty members. We never looked back since then. In 2010, we started the business school. In 2011, the School of International Affairs. In 2012, the School of Government and Public Policy. In 2013, the School of Liberal Arts and Humanities. In 2016, the School of Journalism and Communication. In 2017, the School of Art and Architecture. In 2018, the School of Banking and Finance. And in 2019, we announced the start of the Jindal School of Environment and Sustainability, the 9th school of the university. As we are today, we are, in the process of welcoming a new batch of students in the next several weeks, and our university will have approximately 6,600 students in our campus, in a fully residential university campus. We have over 600 plus full-time faculty members. There is a lot to share in the last 11 years, but I'll tell you there are 5 things that happened. First, we are a global university. For us to be a global university means to have a global curriculum, a global course structure, a global program, a global faculty, a global research agenda, all of which promoting global interaction. We have recruited faculty members from over 32 different countries and regions in the world, and these are full-time faculty members who are from all these parts of the world, including India. We have a deeper commitment towards building substantive partnerships with universities around the world. We have partnerships across 250 universities in 55 different countries, in which we have established partnerships ranging from faculty exchange, student exchange, joint teaching, joint research, joint conferences, joint publications, dual degree programs, short-term study abroad programs, inward mobility immersion programs, and joint executive education programs. That's our first orientation in terms of our global presence. Second is our strong commitment to public service. We believe that a private university has to be committed to public service. A lot of what we do, be it in the context of our work, social inclusion and social justice and social service projects, including our commitment to scholarships and fellowships and others, are all about our impact in society. The public policy school itself, including all of its programs, are indeed involved when it comes to impacting society. The third is our strong commitment to what we call creating an intellectually vibrant environment through conferences and lectures and workshops. And the fourth is what we do towards research. We have 55 plus research centers, 3 capacity building institutes, and also our faculty members have dual appointment both in the university itself, in the school, as well as heading a research center. We maintain a 1:9 faculty student ratio, which has enabled our faculty members to have time to pursue research. And the last is what we do towards executive education. I want to say that the last 11 years has culminated in very significant milestones and achievements that we have had. But let me tell you, while this year has been quite depressing for all of us around the world, including in India, due to COVID-19, at least from the month of March, quite strangely, somewhat ironically, in the last 11 years, never before has OP Jindal Global University been at a greater pinnacle than this academic year. When we began the academic year in August 2019, we were announced to be recognized as an Institute of Eminence by the Ministry of Human Resource Development, University Grants Commission, Government of India. And we proceeded forward with that. And as the COVID-19 crisis was about to unfold, as late as 4th March 2020, the Jindal Global Law School, the first school of OP Jindal Global University, was ranked as the #1 law school of India, overtaking the National Law School of India, University Bengaluru, and becoming one of only 2 Indian law schools out of the 1600 law schools to be recognized among the 300 law schools around the world, and to be ranked 101 in the world. Into the pandemic, when the pandemic was actually already affected, the QS global rankings were released, and we were ranked as one of the top 700 universities, jumping 100 ranks above from last year, and was also ranked as India's #1 private university. The QS World University Rankings ranks only 1,000 universities out of the 35,000 universities in the world. Out of the 1,000 Indian universities, only 21 of them find place in it. And there are only 3 Indian private universities which have been ranked, and 18 of them are public. We have ended up becoming #1 private in it, and we are one of the top 700 in the world as well. A week later, the QS released their top 150 ranked universities in the under 50 age group, and we were also the first and only private university there, and ranked as top 150, and one of only 4 Indian universities in that ranking as well. In both of which we were the youngest university in the world, youngest of course in India, and the only non-STEM, non-medicine ranked university. Few weeks later, again in the pandemic, the Times Higher Education, another reputed rankings organization, nominated our liberal arts school as the first and only liberal arts school from Asia, from India, to be part of the liberal arts recognition in the form of the Asia Awards. We were also ranked as the #1 school when it comes to also what is known as internationalization and leadership, but also one of 2 Indian universities as far as the best workplaces is concerned by the Times Higher Education for the Asia Awards as well. And of course, while the higher education sector has been challenged quite dramatically, and it's deeply disturbing when UNESCO says that millions of young people across the world are deprived of a possibility of education, including in schools, colleges, and universities, despite the fact that online education is becoming a possibility for many, that number remains a very small number. When the lockdown was announced, OP Jindal Global University almost seamlessly transitioned into online education, while many Indian universities, public and private, old and new, have been shaken up by the pandemic and have not been able to respond to the crisis in any effective manner. OP Jindal Global University, including its Jindal School of Government and Public Policy, quickly moved into online teaching. We completed the entire semester successfully. Our examination, assessment, grading, including the award of degrees to all our graduating students, and the completion of the last academic year has been very smooth. And I'm happy to report that our online education system that we evolved has been received very positively, despite all its limitations. The fact that these limitations exist reminds us about the importance of inequalities and disparities in higher education. The fact that only 10 to 12% of Indian households have access to internet, uninterrupted electricity, let alone a computer, all of which means that there is going to be a digital divide in the context of online education. Despite that, we promoted this idea of both synchronous and asynchronous learning, in which even when our students were not able to be lively present on a live classroom experiences, all their lectures were recorded and were made available for our students even beyond the classroom schedule. So I want to say that this is a very difficult moment for higher education, but it is also important to recognize that fewer institutions in India and around the world unfortunately end up becoming better prepared to deal with this crisis. The Jindal School of Government and Public Policy and OP Jindal Global University are better prepared than most institutions in India and around the world to meet with this crisis in a far more effective manner. I want to end by saying that we are very excited about all of you joining. I've always had a very special privilege of interacting with the students of the Jindal School of Government and Public Policy, they have a very deeper sense of commitment towards what Professor Sudashin talked about, the other. They have maintained a high degree of honesty and rectitude and integrity in their own academic journeys. And they've served as, model individuals for other students to imbibe when it comes to qualities of head and heart and a deeper sense of conviction towards the work that they are doing. And I have had the privilege to interact with many of them, and some of them I'm sure are going to talk today as well. So I want to stop here and I want to take questions. I want to open up to the floor. I have a good, I would like to spend at least time till 5:30, another 1 hour to take questions from parents and students, questions pertaining to anything and everything, and no holds bar discussion about the future. After which I will, when the Q&A session is ended, at least from my standpoint, I will hand it over to my other colleagues who are present here. I have a meeting at 5:30, so I will leave at that time. Before any questions you ask, I'm going to make an important announcement that we've already made, but it's important that question will be in many of your minds. What's going to be the future? When am I going to move into the campus? When are classes going to happen physically? And what's going to be the new academic year looking like? I will be answering this question in the most transparent manner from the information that I have with me. We have already made an announcement to all our existing students that we will begin the new academic year for our current students on 17th August. This will be on schedule, and we have said that we will begin the new academic year online for the new students. We have also, for the old students. As far as the new students are concerned, admitted to all our programs, including the Jindal School of Government and Public Policy, we have made an announcement that we will begin the new academic year for them on 1st September. We have not told as to whether that semester will begin in an online mode or in a physical mode. It will be our endeavor to be able to have it on physical mode. We are closely monitoring the evolving situation of COVID-19, including the rules and regulations imposed by the government of Haryana, the authorities within the district of Sonipat, but also the Ministry of Human Resource Development, the University Grants Commission, the Ministry of Home Affairs, Government of India, the ICMR guidelines, and many other bodies that are responsible for determining whether schools, colleges, and universities can actually open with regard to their own functioning. It's also important to mention that we are fully prepared for all kinds of scenarios. We have been working very closely in the last 3 to 4 months to prepare for a scenario in which we can bring back our students and to have them be part of our campus experience. Our current students are absolutely missing the campus, and we are missing them on campus as well. So there is every reason why we are as anxious as our students and the new students who want to be part of our campus experience, but at the same time, we are conscious that we need to follow all the rules and regulations that are imposed upon us. We are also fully prepared to ensure that the learning outcomes and experiences are not affected in any manner, and hence our preparation, as much as we are physically prepared, we are also digitally prepared. We are prepared to have an experience in which online education, if it need be, can be continued for our students, both old and new, and we are ready to go forward on that. But what we will not do is to delay the semester any further and end up doing what many public universities in India have done, which I believe is going to have a significantly adverse impact on the future of many young people. Examinations have been postponed unnecessarily. There has been unwarranted debate surrounding the very idea of what kind of an exam it should be and how it should be administered and all of that. It's almost like quite strange for me personally that everything that Government of India and state governments have ended up deciding now, we decided 3.5 months ago and implemented it. And so we have been very fortunate that both our students and our faculty members and our deans have provided enormous leadership in recognizing what was then an uncertain and an ambiguous and a disease with without which we didn't know much about its future. At that time, I believe we had the institutional farsightedness to do things quite quickly and respond to the crisis quite immediately, the benefits of which our students today are reaping, including the graduating batch of 2020. At a time when very old, reputed, landmark universities of India are struggling to do even foundational things for the interests of our students, we are very fortunate that we could do all of it, and now we are preparing for the new academic year. For the benefit of the students who are going to join JSGP, I will say that we are also starting what is known as the Prestige program beginning August. The Prestige program is the pre-semester training and general engagement program designed for the benefit of the new students or admitted to the BA Economics Honors, the BA Social Science Policy, the MA Economics, and the MA Public Policy. This program is a month-long program which the JSGP will launch with a view to preparing the students who have joined JSGP to have a smooth engagement and entry into the academic and intellectual ecosystem of JGU starting 1st September. While the semester and the new academic session will formally begin on 1st September, there will be a number of academic and intellectually engaging initiatives, including orientation type program that the admissions office will initiate, which will give you more and more information about how you can ultimately get fully integrated to the institution. So with those words, I want to stop you and to say once again, congratulations for all the students who are going to join JGU and JSGP, and also to welcome all the parents and their brothers and sisters and uncles and aunts and other relatives who share this joyous moment as they move from one part of their life to an advanced form of higher education experience in their own lives. Thank you, and happy to take questions.
Thank you, sir, for welcoming our new batch. So we had some queries regarding the opportunities of summer school. I have Nikita who wanted to ask this question. Nikita, unmute yourself and you can raise your query.
Yeah.
Nikita.
Hello. Yeah, I'm Nikita's father. Actually, both of us are attending together.
Okay.
So, out and both of us are here.
We are not able to see you. You are in Zoom or you are in YouTube or something?
I'm in Zoom.
Yeah, so you can unmute, you can show your video as well.
But I'm not properly attired for the occasion. That's why I muted actually.
No problem, no problem. We are all somewhat of not so properly attired during these COVID times, so it doesn't matter. Very good, please.
Thank you. Come here. So, sir, in fact, I'm also with the UN, as Dr. Sudashin was saying, at Delhi, and from Cambridge also. And I want to put my daughter on a launching pad, which would take her to the UN. Since being part of the system and seeing the demand for women in economics in organizations like UN for Women and other organizations, UN organizations. Actually, I'm looking for a curriculum or a college with a difference.
Yes. Well, very good, Gopi. I will say something and then Sudashin can say it. First of all, I think if I, as a parent, I would say you should use a 5-test formula to determine whether an institution is suitable for an educational experience. First is the quality of the faculty. Never before the quality of the faculty is more important than now. That includes qualifications, experience, standing, publications, a whole range of things. Second is the institutional ecosystem driven by a mechanism for favoring education. To what extent? Because, for example, one of the big things about, I am an alma mater of Delhi University and I've seen other universities in India. Many a time, even when there are good faculty, the institutional ecosystem is not necessarily inspiring enough to advance an educational experience that is truly transformative. That's the second thing. The third thing is that the international collaborations that have been established for the benefit of the students. Of course, a decade ago, even 2 decades ago, this was not important. Today, more than ever, it's absolutely important for our students to engage with the world at large, experience while they are students, opportunities in different parts of the world. Now, that's a very important part. The third is what are the international collaborations, student exchange programs, short-term study abroad programs, dual degree programs, immersion programs, pathway programs that are available at a university. That's the third thing. The fourth is the research ecosystem that is prevailing in an institution. To what extent the faculty members, the research centers, the research institutes are involved in organizing seminars, lectures, workshops, conferences, how intellectually vibrant the environment is for learning that goes beyond the classroom. That's a fourth category test. And the fifth, and another very important, is that how are the entire system of career development, which includes not just jobs, but placements, capstone projects, higher education opportunities, mentoring for pursuing higher education opportunities. What does the institution do for these things? Regardless of wherever one studies, you may want to adopt the 5-test formula. I'm going to patent it at some point of time, but this 5-test formula that I've given is going to be applicable for everybody, anywhere a student is, anywhere a parent is thinking. Now, if you apply that to our institution and then start actually thinking about it, we will come very high in that list, because this is how we have envisaged the university. Our students, every year, 35 of our students go to Harvard for a study abroad program, 25 go to Fletcher, nearly 100 go to Oxford. We have 3 different programs in Oxford on 3 different thematic issues, one which focuses on global governance, another which focuses on humanities and social sciences, and the third one which focuses on international relations and multilateralism. We have a program in Science Po, we have a program in Columbia, a program now at the Wharton School. So the opportunity to do these programs on a range of areas. I mean, I can send you all the details, and I'll ask Ankur to send you all the details. But the idea is we need to give opportunities to our students. Not everybody need to take, because obviously these are all programs that we have subsidized through our networks. We do on a zero cost basis from our side, and students end up paying for it. And I do, it is unfortunately going to be those who can afford it. But at least one of the things I have realized is that all of us as Indian parents, we are prepared to go beyond our own means to do everything possible to, sort of help our own children for their education and for their future. I hope that helps, Gopi. And Sudashin will add something to the BA Economics question.
Well, the BA Economics program that we have is absolutely outstanding, in the sense that we have an excellent combination of all that is solid in the discipline. I mean, economics is an old and reputed discipline. But we are also aware that there have been questions that have been asked in terms of the conventional ways in which economics has been taught. Students after the 2008 crisis asked, like the Queen of England asked, why didn't any of these economists see this coming, right? And that is not really a fair question, because economics is not really meant to it's not, I mean, the joke is that economists who attempt to make predictions are people who have given respectability to astrologers. Economics is about understanding and explaining phenomena, not so much prediction. But nonetheless, the point of that experience was, is the knowledge that is being imparted as economics pertinent to what we see around us? Does it make sense? Instead of, unfortunately, many of our universities and teachers use textbooks, and, the whole syllabus is structured in terms of, for this topic, chapter 20 in, some famous textbook. In my time, it was Paul Samuelson. It's whereas we encourage our students in the class while teaching the basic insights of the subject to say, what relevance does it have to what we see around us, to unemployment, to medium and small scale enterprises, whatever it may be. So that's the distinctive thing, because it's a economics program in a public policy school. So in that sense, it is a program that is applied. I mean, in Cambridge, it's called applied economics. Cambridge also calls applied physics, but we haven't called it applied economics. But in effect, the curriculum is that it has applications. It has to connect to problems and issues, understanding the issues. So that's a big difference. So in the teaching, the pedagogy, we also emphasize students being able to go out and look at, I don't know whether some of the alumni students are here, but, there was a health program that was instituted by the previous government, not the BJP, the previous one. And we got our students to go and do a survey of the population in the villages around, and to write up whether this health program had an impact. Firstly, you learn how to sample and you learn how to stratify your sample, and then to actually find out and record things. We got our students to look at how safety is perceived in the villages around us. So this aspect of trying to provide experiential learning is an important part. And then we also, as the Vice Chancellor emphasized, encourage our students to go and do these in summer school programs. They're not necessarily economics only. They could be in fields that have to do with human rights, with international law. Now, these are major pluses. So if a student graduating in economics has also had an opportunity to do a summer school at Harvard in international law and human rights, at some point later, when we think of the United Nations, that's what will pop up. Because to get into the United Nations, you need to have a master's degree. So it's some time away. You need to think through. But the other innovation, because I worked in the
UNDP, why don't you ask your daughter to sit down? She's standing, poor thing.
Yeah, that's fine, sir. Thank you. Yeah, she's bringing a chair. Yeah.
Yeah. So what we do is, you see, the UN formally takes interns who are registered for a postgraduate program. But what we are trying to do is to say, we'll send our students as interns to projects that are supported by the UN, right? So a UNFPA or UNDP, these are generally Government of India projects in districts. Now, if you go and do an internship in a project, so you're not directly an intern of the UN, nonetheless, you're an intern in a project supported by the UNDP or the UNFPA and the Government of India. Now, again, that pops up in your CV, right? Because one of the things in this business is you need to have some familiarity with the UN system. So mock UN, the UN, model UN, which our university annually has, is again another plus. So while you're studying economics, you could also add on some of these things, because they then, provide a pathway to potential employment in the UN. It's a bit of a, for India, it's a bit of a problem because we are an oversubscribed staff in the UN system. But nonetheless, familiarity with the UN system, involvement with UN activities, all of these help. And so that's what we encourage our students to do. Some of our faculty, for instance, Professor Veselin Popovsky was professor at the UN University in Tokyo. He teaches international law. We've got Professor Gudmund Eriksson. He was one of the draftsmen of the Convention on the Law of the Sea. He's a judge in the International Tribunal on the Law of the Sea, and he teaches that subject in the university. So we provide opportunities for our students to interact with people like that, to go and be a research assistant or a teaching assistant, or even take a course, that these professors are teaching, because we want the qualification to be more interdisciplinary. So while you do get a solid grounding in the fundamentals of economics, the orientation really is that it has to have practical applications, and it must have this element of interdisciplinarity, so that you then build up from a very early stage experience and involvement, which will impress potential employers in the UN system.
Gopi, I also want to add that the interdisciplinarity is very important. The university has 9 schools. We have a public policy school, a school of international affairs, a school of liberal arts, a school of journalism and communication, a school of art and architecture, a school of banking and finance, a business school, of course, a law school. So now what we have done is we have given opportunity for our students from all schools to take courses across all schools in what is known as cross-listed courses and electives that are taken, particularly after 4 p.m. in the evening, when their core and elective courses within their school is over. So after the second year onwards, your daughter can take, while she would be in the BA Economics program and would do those courses, if she wants to take a course on, a particular aspect of finance in the banking and finance school, or if she wants to take a particular aspect of corporate governance in the business school, or she wants to take a particular aspect of multilateralism and international trade in the international affairs school, she can actually do that. And that's unthinkable in most universities in the world, including my own alma mater in India, Delhi University. So we believe that in the real world, knowledge is not fragmented, let alone experiences. And we need to empower our students to be able to get that interdisciplinary exposure when they study at a university.
Thanks, Dr. Sudashin and Dr. Rajkumar. In fact, this one explained the question I was about to ask, a short question, because I wanted to know, as being someone in Delhi, though we belong to the southern India, any student in Delhi, by default, he or she thinks about Delhi University, and you yourself are from there. Whereas I very strongly believe in the multidisciplinary or interdisciplinary education, which we have gone through in Oxford and Cambridge. So I think your last thing answered my question, and thanks a lot for it.
Very good. Well, what's your daughter's name?
My name is Nikita.
Nikita. Well, congratulations,
Thank you
Nikita,
so much.
and best wishes to you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you
so much.
Thank you.
All right, next question, please.
Next, we have Bishme Kumar. Bishme, unmute yourself and on your video. Switch on your video.
Namaste, sir.
Yes, hi, Bishme. Good to see you.
Yes. Sir, I actually have 2 questions. Like one is, as you have opined that we will be coming out of the COVID situation by the mid of 2021. So I had a question, post-COVID situation, will that be an advantage for the Indian economy and also for the Indian students? And if yes, then how? And the second question is, like this question is asked by my parents, like whether the university has any plans to start distance education or online courses for the public policy formation for the working people.
Now tell me, Bishme, you are a high school student. What is the course you have got admitted at Jindal?
In the government and public policy.
No, which course?
BA Economics.
BA Economics. So you are a high school, you just completed your high school now.
Yes, sir.
Okay, very good. So Bishme, the first question, I'm not a big expert, but Sudashin will answer more. But I'll tell you what, I have enormous faith in India for few reasons. One, we are a young country. 850 million people in India are less than 35 years of age. When most parts of the Western world will become older, India will be younger and will be younger for a longer time. At the dawn of Indian independence, we had a life expectancy of mid-30s, and today it is 71. When China, Japan, South Korea, and many parts of Western world will be older, India will be younger. So the demographic dividend that we have needs to be harnessed effectively, and that harnessing is what the higher education institutions and the knowledge creating institutions is expected to do. And if we do that right, and that's a big and important if, we have enormous potential in the future. So much so that all our aspirations and goals are going to be met, and the COVID-19 crisis that we are facing, we will overcome much faster, much better than many. Second, our strength in our democratic institutions and democracy as a form of government. Despite all skepticism that occasionally comes out in public domain about the value and effectiveness of democracy, COVID-19 has also proved the importance of transparency and democratic governance, and governments taking people into account when they actually take decisions. Some governments, democracies themselves are not necessarily effectively functioning, but if there is a choice that we need to make as to how effectively we need to govern ourselves, India made its choice long ago, and the fact that we will be committed to that democratic form of government will help us to come out of this crisis much better than many. The third is our commitment to the rule of law, which is an ongoing project, continues to face challenges. Nevertheless, we believe, and they're connected as well, democracy, rule of law. We believe in the principle of the rule of law, which is defined by both democratic institutions and independent institutions, which are involved in the, in effectively strengthening the government, and also ensure that the power holders are made accountable through law. The fourth thing which I believe is very important is that the inherent spirit of entrepreneurship that is embedded in the Indian psyche. In fact, there's a very interesting book by Mr. Guru Charan Das, who's a very distinguished author. Guru Charan Das is a guy who used to work for Procter & Gamble, studied at Harvard, was a student of John Rawls, and very distinguished guy. He wrote a book called India Grows at Night. That's the title of the book, India Grows at Night. If you have time, you should read that book. So once we were having dinner, I asked him about the title of the book. He said, the original title was India Grows at Night when the government sleeps. But he removed that word, because the lines, because he didn't want to be too cynical about the government. But the point which he was saying was that, the unleashing of Indian entrepreneurial energy and ideas and innovation that is actually happening across the country is quite remarkable. And it's happening across sectors. There is no sector in the country is not having that opportunity to blossom itself to promote entrepreneurship. I mean, can you believe it, Bishmay? When we talk to people around the world, I always say that, have you seen this movie Gravity? The movie, the Mars mission?
Yes, sir.
We had a successful mission to Mars in India. Our scientists went to Mars, sent a mission to Mars. The Gravity movie that Hollywood made was more expensive than our actual mission to Mars. India has pioneered and provide global leadership on frugal innovation. The young people of India, people like you, are shaping the future of India in unimaginable ways. So, to answer your question, we are going to be so good. We are addressing our challenges. But the last thing I will say is that we will become better if we don't hesitate to be self-critical. If we are prepared to be self-critical and recognize where we are going wrong and take efforts to do what is right, not to have misplaced sense of nationalism and delude ourselves to our own, in not recognizing our own fault lines and fault areas, we will achieve so much. And I believe the next century is India's. And when India gets it right, the world is right. As far as the second question of your parents are concerned, So listen, we believe in the idea of a brick and mortar campus. We believe in the fact that education has something to be uniquely contributing when it is happening in a very physical manner, where there is live interaction with faculty members and students with each other in a campus environment, in the hostels, in the play fields, in the corridors, in the dining halls. There is a dynamic, peer group learning ecosystem and environment that happens in a campus experience, and we cherish that. For all of us who have I had the privilege to live in the hostel in Delhi University, in Oxford University, in Harvard University, and I will not trade it for anything. Having said that, I also feel that there is space for promoting. Can people in JGU IT, can you mute other people, because there is so much of noises, and if you're controlling this, you can easily mute others. Who's in charge of the IT now there? They should do this. Hemant, can you please talk to Karan and ensure that everybody is muted?
Done, sir. Vidyut has done it. They're all muted.
You should have done this long ago, because there is too much of noise coming in. Those
sorry for that.
Person who is speaking needs to know it. So I was saying that the need for promoting, online education has come now, because universities were very dismissive of online education. Let me be very candid with you. Very skeptical of online education, and quite rightly so, because historically, you use the word distance education. Distance education was seen to be mediocre, pejorative, non-serious, devoid of academic standards, let alone any effort to promote excellence. In fact, I've interviewed hundreds of people, or thousands of people for various jobs, and whenever somebody has a distance education degree, we won't take it seriously. But at the same time, the new generation of thinking that's emerging through edX, through Coursera, Khan Academy, and the evolution that's happening across the world. There is a university called Arizona State University. Michael Crow is the president of the university, and they have revolutionized the world of global education, in which they are providing world-class education online. Can you believe it? 50,000 students from around the world are receiving education at Arizona State University in the state of Arizona. Such is the potential that we have. So I'm happy to report that this year we have launched 2 master's degree programs on an online and blended learning mode. This includes the Master of Laws LLM degree program by the Jindal Global Law School, and the Master of Business Administration MBA in Digital Finance and Banking program, which the Jindal Global Business School and the Jindal School of Banking and Finance have launched. The interest has been quite phenomenal. We're very delighted that there is so much of interest. We are using both technological tools and in-class, in-person experiences, physical and live experiences, as well as blended learning technology options for advancing what we call online and blended higher education mode. As you know, the government of India has made a number of reforms in recent times. The finance minister just a month ago announced that 230 Indian universities will be empowered to offer online degrees. They used a particular yardstick of having a NAC accreditation of about 3.0, and we have a much higher NAC accreditation. But even beyond that, we are also an institute of eminence, and hence we are empowered to offer online degree programs. It is, in addition to that, the Prime Minister has announced the e-Vidya program, the Swayam platform, and many other online digital, transformative steps with a view to providing access to education for a large number of people, including democratizing higher education to create greater inclusivity. At both levels, we need to recognize the importance of online education, where it should be promoting excellence at one level. It should also be contributing to promoting access at another. So to answer your question, we are not far away from starting a master's degree program in public policy in the online mode. With that, I'm going to request Dean Sudashin to say something about the future of India and the economy.
No, I think you answered that question. Bishmay, you had a long and elaborate answer. Do you want me to add anything to that? I think I found that quite comprehensive.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So because there are others with questions that I'd like to do justice to.
Yes, sir.
And you got a good answer. So good luck to you.
Thank you so much, sir. Namaste.
Mani?
Have a
Next,
good
we
day,
have
sir.
Ashish. Ashish, unmute yourself and switch on the video. Ashish
Yes,
Kapoor.
sir, ma'am. Yes, hello. Good evening, sir. Good
Yes.
evening. My daughter is taking up admission in BA Economics. While you were talking about various rankings in the university has achieved, like in law, it is #1. And I believe various universities and colleges do advertise that we are #1, we are #1 in this field. So where does our economics score stand? Just for information purposes. It
Yeah.
won't make a difference in.
So, let me be very candid with you. You are absolutely right. There are all kinds of media blitz surrounding the
Yes,
rankings.
sir.
So that's why we don't quote about newspaper rankings. They're mostly the newspaper and the magazine rankings, in my view, have a lot of dubiousness surrounding it. So if you remember, I only talked about 3 things. I said the Ministry of Human Resource, Government of India, has identified 10 public universities and 8 private universities only from 1,000 Indian universities, and have given the status of an institution of eminence. That's one. Second, I said that the only Government of India accrediting agency called the National Accreditation and Assessment Council, NAC, has given us the highest rating when given us the NAC A grade and given us that as far as the NAC accreditation is concerned. The third, I said that there are 3 leading organizations in the world which does ranking. The Gazette notification of the Institute of Eminence has specifically mentioned these 3, the Times Higher Education, the QS, and the Shanghai Jiatong rankings known as academic rankings of world universities. These 3 are internationally recognized and Government of India recognized organizations. In that, I said we are India's #1 private university for all schools and all programs that we offer, including the BA Economics Honors. But beyond the ranking, I would like you to use the 5-point test that I had told to Gopi when he had asked about what should be the reasons in determining whether one should study at a university. I invite you to visit our website, apply the test, and do a due diligence on what we are in determining whether it's suitable for you to for your child to study. I can only say that one of the remarkable things about higher education is that it's not so much about the claims that institution makes, it's about the reputation that it has in public domain. And reputation is always about word of mouth, and it's not about what you read in the newspaper or what claims an institution makes. If you use the reputation yardstick and the 5-point test that I have said, I believe you will have the right answer.
Thank you. And another thing, sir, you talk about economics being very dynamic now. So it means as we progress in the course, the ways of teaching will change dynamically at all times.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I think, Sudashin, you should answer that question. Teaching of economics.
Sir, you're on.
No,
Yes.
in my introductory remarks, I emphasized that economics is a very dynamic discipline. And one of the features of the subject is the degree to which it has now connected itself to other social science disciplines. So there's a whole field called behavioral economics, which draws a lot of insights from psychology. And in the United States, what they call political economy is really application of economic tools and techniques to understanding politics. So economics has evolved. And one of the Nobel laureates in economics with whom one of our faculty has studied was Eleanor Ostrom. She was a her basic discipline was political science, but she got the award, what's known as the Nobel Prize for Economics. That just shows that it's been a discipline that's been quite vibrant and absorbing knowledge from other fields. And so because we are very applied in the sense that we want all the concepts and theoretical underpinnings of the subject to be connected to something that students will experience around them. Issues, it could be from history, but it could also be something that's contemporary. So that's the unique feature in a way, that we revisit the syllabus. I mean, it's one of the things I spend time on, which is to look at the curricula that faculty draw up, and then talk to faculty to say, you got to make this not, no textbooks as far as possible, but to try and connect it to questions that will naturally arise. I mean, people will ask, what, after COVID-19, do we have a demand side problem? Do we have a supply side problem? Do you have a problem on both sides? What is economics going to tell us, right? That's why in my initial remarks, I alluded to the fact that we've moved from Keynesianism to monetary theory to now, after the COVID-19 experience, to ask, now how are we going to tackle these problems? I mean, just printing money and spending it by the name of stimulus, which some governments are trying to do. What are the implications of that? What might there be some long-term consequences in inflation? So these are the questions we'd like to think students to get to think about. They're about current and real problems.
And I believe politics also plays a lot of role in Indian economy.
No, absolutely. I mean, you see,
so that would be also
one of the in the evolution of economics, one of the big changes, and again recognized by the award of a Nobel Prize to Douglas North, is that earlier economists simply assumed all these law and institutions are some mere backdrop. They are not necessary for economic theory and economic understanding. But now, no respectable economist would say that. They'll say that politics and institutions play a very significant part in what might be outcomes, and in the framing of economic policy, you must factor that in. So that we got to, so one of the good things about social science as a field is that it's, you see, human beings are evolving, and one significant element of human beings is that our sense of freedom consists in our unpredictability. If we were all predictable, we would, or deterministic, we would be robots, but we are not. But understanding the kind of unpredictability that human beings have, what is called the predictable unpredictability in people, is what we'd like our students to get a grasp of.
Thank you. You're great. Thank you.
Thank you. The next we have Shri Vidya. Shri Vidya. Please unmute and switch on your video.
Miss.
Yeah.
Hi, sorry. I am Dr. Srividya. I am from Chennai. My son is going to join OP Jindal. We've been looking forward to him joining college for the past 1 year because he took a year's break. He did his IB in Chennai, Omega International. And I have very basic questions. I'm absolutely clueless about Indian economics and Indian politics. Right now, I'm fully into COVID. So please excuse me if I don't ask brilliant questions about economics, and everything you've been telling me is absolutely going above my head right now. So I really want to know, when we are talking about online classes and onshore classes, how is that going to happen? I did talk to the coordinator, Mr. Pankaj Arora. I've been coordinating with him, and I'm really, really happy to say that I've got very good feedback from him. So I need some very quick this thing. So if you're 1st September is what we are looking at.
Correct.
So I need to have very simple answers. Do I need to book flight tickets? I am a busy practitioner and I need to take out time because if I'm going to travel to Delhi, I will be quarantined. Um, Both me and my son were positive at one point of time. So we have our antibody reports. So I need to get all those things sorted out. And this is not a simple thing for us. So I need to know those questions. And that is something I think which you will have to face for. If we are going to be doing online classes, then it is easy. But if you're going to do online classes, I really need to know how you're going to ensure that these students are going to be attending the classes. And because we are all old timers, I mean, my patients still say that, they don't like when I do teleconsultations, they still prefer when I wear PPE and go in and, it's like that. So these kids are even more digitally, they are hyper aware or whatever we say. I mean, my worry is that I am very confident about my son. When he goes to college, he will do well. I'm not worried how he's going to come out in 3 years' time. He is that type of a child. And so I'm not worried about his study. And I'm sure any good college will give him what he needs. So I'm sure Jindal will do that for him. But these are the basic things. I mean, the startup issues. Yes.
Very good, Dr. Srividya. Such a pleasure to meet you. What's your son's name?
Ved Kaushal.
Okay, all right. Ved is around? Is he around or?
He is in another, I think he's unmuted and yeah.
Okay, all right. Well, congratulations to him. And let me say this, as I told you before, and I'll elaborate a bit. So we are, I said that we are fully prepared for an eventuality of different kinds. We have worked out all kinds of scenarios, and hence we said that this is what we plan. 1st September, we have said we will start the classes. And the reason we have not been able to tell the mode is that, as you know, in India, we don't decide these things. Like American universities have had, like Harvard and Cambridge, for example, announced they'll go the entire year online. IITs have announced that they'll go the entire semester online as well. We, in India, universities can't anyways decide this matter on its own. The government has a very big role to play, particularly in residential institutions, but also even others. So if you see the last, circular that was released, they said that all institutions need to be closed till end of July. Yeah. And unfortunately, this type, nobody wants to bite the bullet. I'll give you a very candid situation. I was talking to a couple of days ago, a very senior civil servant in the government of Haryana. I don't want to name anybody, particularly when we are on YouTube. And I asked the same question that you are asking me, that, what's the story? And this person said, well, you are a lawyer and a law professor. You should tell me, because ultimately this will be decided by the Supreme Court of India. And since you interact with so many judges, you ask them what is going to happen. And as much as he joked about it, this has also become the reality today. When you look at the CBSE examination situation, ultimately the Supreme Court of India decided. The NEET situation, the JEE situation. If you look at now what's happening with the UGC and DU situation, state government examination situation, Maharashtra, everything finally comes through the Supreme Court of India. So in a way, the uncertainty is quite extraordinary. So I wish I can give you a clear answer. But there are a couple of things which are very clear, which is what you need to, that's your consolation prize for this question. First, very clear answer. 1st September, we will start classes. Online or physical, doesn't matter. 1st September, we will start classes. Second, we are fully geared up to do online. And we can tell you more about how we have done and what kind of, in fact, we can send you an email about it, the electronic databases preparedness. We'll follow the same schedule, by the way. So the overall, last semester, the semester had to be cut short a bit because our students wanted to do internship, and because the schedule was cut off, we were all, in an unplanned manner, we had to stop and do the lockdown and all of that. But this semester, even when we start in 1st September, we will do the full academic year. So no change in that. in terms of the credits, the curriculum, the courses, the programs, the classes, everything will remain intact. The prestige program that I talked about, which will be released in August, is precisely to provide an introduction to the entire university's ecosystem and prepare the students for an eventuality as well. Of course, you shouldn't book your tickets now. I mean, what can I say? I wish you can book your tickets now, but that's not going to be the case. You will have to wait. We are so closely engaged with all important institutional mechanisms in Delhi and India, both state and central, including regulatory bodies, as we speak, are discussing these scenarios. As soon as we hear anything from them, we will immediately inform. Normally, when it comes to our fee and other matters, we will actually collect the fee relating to food, accommodation, laundry as well, even before students come in. But this year, we were very consciously, we took a decision that you are expected to pay only tuition fee now and will not pay the food, accommodation, laundry fee till you will be in a position to move into the campus. That's a very important aspect that I want you to remember, because we don't know the answer. We simply should not hazard an answer. And frankly speaking, there are huge safety and well-being and public health concerns, and one can debate about it. There are, American universities and campuses, some of them are opening, some of them have this, elaborate 250-page report have been published that they will have tracing and tracking and treating, and every human being who comes in will be tested and will be, test reports will be available, and every week they will be tested, and all their friends will be tested, and faculty will be tested. There's a whole range of mechanisms that are being introduced in the United States as we speak. And then there are states which are opening and closing, and then there are people dying, and then in Florida people are dying, and Disneyland is opened up. So all these things are happening in front of our eyes. So as much as all of us want something to happen, and you're a doctor, I don't need to tell you anything more. The complexity of this disease, the uncertainty of this disease, despite the fact that India has low death numbers and all of that, governments are very difficultly placed to take decisions on this matter. And so we will keep in mind the interest, which is health, safety, and well-being of students as paramount. And we look at the rules and regulations and notifications, guidelines issued by various government bodies, and will immediately inform our students as to what is going to be the immediate future looking like.
That sounds really great. I mean, very assuring also. And I hope we will have a margin and time and, to accordingly.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
I'm expecting something to come up by the first week of August by the government.
Exactly.
And I hope, see, the problem is they always do piecemeal. So while we want to know what's going to happen for the next 3 months, you should be prepared. They'll tell another 1 month, another 1 month. And so it's a very difficult thing. I mean, because there are huge implications for these decisions. And that's why there is natural reluctance, But rest assured, we will communicate to you at the earliest.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Thank you, sir.
Pleasure meeting you, Dr. Vidya.
Amulya, unmute yourself and switch on the video, and also mention the course in which you are.
I need to rush and shortly, so I'm going to request Dean Sudashin to take, but I'll take Amulya's question and then leave.
Good evening, sir. Good evening, sir. My name is Amulya Verma. I wanted to ask, will we have semester exchange programs and internship abroad opportunities for MA Economics program?
Oh, absolutely. That's all of those things are there. It depends upon how well you are prepared when it comes to take those decisions, because unlike the undergraduate students, you're spending only 2 years on campus, and the last semester, you'll be busy thinking about your jobs. So you have one window there. There are also dual degree programs which are on offer for the MA Public Policy students, pathways to have double masters. There are also study abroad programs which I talked to you about. All those things are open to all the students in MA as well. Well, thank you very much, Amulya. Listen, many of you are asking about the title of the book. Guru Charan Das's book's title is India Grows at Night, a liberal case for a strong state. That's the byline. The title is India Grows at Night, published by Penguin. It's out there in Amazon. If you're interested, you should read it. All right. Listen, I'm so sorry that I need to rush. This is a fascinating discussion. I can go on and on with this. I'm going to leave you in the able hands of Dean Sudashin and others who are present here. But it's a pleasure meeting all of you. And once again, congratulations. And this is going to be a phenomenal opportunity for all of you. And I can only hope that the COVID-19 crisis should not mirror your judgment about your future. We are, while we speak 140 plus, vaccine initiatives are promoted around the world, and humankind has never tried to work as fast as it has done this time. The epidemiologists and others whom we speak to tell us that it takes 5 to 10 years to get a vaccine done. And here we are barely 4 months since the pandemic, and there are several promising cases already happening. So have the confidence, have hope, have optimism about the future. And in the interim, we need to do our own duties and responsibilities to help the humanity come out of this crisis. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for welcoming our new session, Batch 2020, and taking the queries of parents as well as their parents. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
We continue the session with the next question of Rajiv Gupta. Rajiv Gupta, please unmute yourself and
Hi.
share the videos.
Good evening, Professor. Professor, this is Colonel Rajiv. I'm calling up from Bangalore. My son Ariman is looking for admission into BA Economics at Jindal. So I had a couple of questions, Professor. My first question was that for a child looking for a corporate career, does BA Economics make more sense, or does a management program in, say, international business or something make more sense? Why I say this is because after a UG course, the way I see it is a child would need a PG, MBA from a grade 1 business school. So is BA Economics, does it make sense for a corporate career? Number one. And number two, with whatever little I understand of economics, it has a huge influence of mathematics and statistics for it to be implementable or for it to be relevant in the industry, employable when I say that. So a BA Economics, will it cover the relevant portions of maths and statistics?
Yeah, let me answer that. Economics uses mathematics as a language. It's not mathematics that you are to have a mastery of. It's about learning a language in which you can say something in, say, 2 pages in prose, and you can say it in half a page in a set of equations. So it's just a language for the most part. And what we have been trying to do is to help students to overcome a phobia about this. A number of students are very keen and very good in economics, but when it comes to using the mathematics and the statistics, they develop some kind of a block. So one of the things we've been doing is we already started some exercises to make the students comfortable with the mathematics that's needed. It's not, you see, firstly, it's not very, the mathematics that is used in economics is not very sophisticated. It's fairly straightforward and simple. But nonetheless, if students have a phobia, they have to overcome that, because otherwise it unnecessarily causes them trauma. And
Professor, sorry for interrupting you, but my question was on the contrary. I felt that economics should have mathematics.
yes.
So which is why, yeah. So
so I'm coming to that. So
okay.
we make sure that all the students in the BA economics program are comfortable in using the maths that's needed for economics. So because you cannot really graduate as a graduate in economics without being able to use the main language that economics now uses, which is mathematics and statistics. Then a number of students seem to have some misapprehension about, should it be, is a BSc in economics more math oriented, or is a BA in economics less math oriented? No, that's not the case. The economics that we teach is solid foundational economics, and therefore the maths that's needed for it is obligatory. You cannot run away from that. You have to do that. And so it doesn't matter whether you call it an art or a science. In some universities, Calcutta has both BA and BSc in economics, where it's like, people often ask me when we started the public policy school, what's the difference between public policy and public administration? Now, I think these are distinctions without a difference, in the sense that we are dealing with a social science. Economics happens to be one of the social sciences that has drawn the most from tools and techniques of the natural sciences. So econometrics is something that draws a lot of its content from probability theory. And so it doesn't matter whether you sign up for a degree in BSc economics or BA in economics. Economics is economics. And if it's taught very well, it's got a whole range of applications. So we are very solidly committed to communicating the foundations and insights of economics. It's a foundational course, the BA economics. Now, after that, a student may wish to specialize in finance or international business, or go to do law. Nonetheless, this course is very foundational. And we've also, as I said, starting the MA in economics, because we'd like some continuity for some of our students who really like the subject and who want to be economists, who can then move on to a postgraduate program and a PhD program in economics. So I want to assure you that, our faculty are relatively young, which means they've finished their PhDs from top universities around the world. And that means they are au fait with the latest advances in the discipline. And they're all keen on publications. We are a research-oriented university. So which means there's no development in the subject that is of significance that's happening will go unnoticed by any of our faculty. And they will do their best to bring that in to the teaching of economics. I just circulated to my faculty of the work that's been done by a mathematician at Harvard that has great implications for gender equality. Now, she's a mathematics teacher, but she's devised ways by which the larger social objective of having greater gender equality can be more systematically and clearly grasped. I circulated this because it's a signal to my faculty that, listen, you got to take this mathematician at Harvard and her work seriously, because we are a public policy school. We are concerned about gender equality. And here is a mathematician, she happens to be of Chinese origin, who's done this fascinating work. And so I'd like some of my faculty to read up, get on top of it, and bring it into the teaching in the classroom. That's the exciting part. So it's not, textbook and old notes being regurgitated. It's a kind of a live thing. And fortunately, we've had students who are very inquisitive. I mean, our alumni will tell you about it, who are demanding, will ask questions, and we have clubs. There's a club called Arthaniti. We have a policy club in which students themselves initiate activities and try to invite people that they want to hear. And one of our big advantages is our proximity to Delhi, because we've been able to grab people who come to Delhi at other people's expense and ask them to spare 6 hours for us and bring them here. So these are the sorts of exciting things, but I hope we'll be able to do all this on campus. Now, the online thing is altogether very different. We learnt a lot doing online, so that some of our techniques of online pedagogy have been honed. I can't say they are perfect as yet, but if it comes to it, we can do justice for the most part to students online, but we really hope that they'll be on campus. And one of the things the Vice Chancellor didn't mention to the doctor who asked the question is, I live on the campus and there is a medical center. And since the pandemic, we've beefed up the medical center. It looks extremely impressive now, with additional wards, safety standards, sanitizers all over the campus, everyone wearing a mask. So sometimes I feel that, this university campus would probably be safer for a group of students, because it's an enclosed community, than people wandering around and at risk outside. But that's a debatable question, because you don't know whether the university is prepared to take the risk of someone getting infected, and then what do you do, kind of thing. But I want to assure anyone that's listening that we feel quite safe, because it's a large campus, and we can distribute the students. Presently, whatever numbers of students we have in a room, we can reduce that quite significantly. And doing all that, I hope we'd be able to start classes on campus.
That's wonderful to know, Professor. My first part of my question is still unanswered, that for a child looking for a corporate career, what makes more sense? BA in economics?
No,
or?
I would say, I'd like some of my, we've got some public policy graduates, but who've also done economics as part of public policy to chip in. Aditya Vashishta, for instance, works in a US organization dealing with business. This economics course is foundational. You shouldn't be able to go into any respectable corporate job without having what in Delhi University we call the fundas, right? The fundamentals, right? That's what this is. Now, after that, you need to specialize. You need to pick on whether it's finance or marketing or whatever aspect of corporate life. One of our, or you could go and do public policy, because all major corporations now have a public policy division, which employs people, but all of them require, there's no getting away from a solid foundation in economics. So all I'm saying is that our BA economics course is foundational. You can't go wrong with it. And it'll be an asset. Now, if you didn't do that, if you did English literature, a corporate career is still not ruled out, because you can get a postgraduate degree and try and get in it, but you wouldn't be as good hitting the road running, when the rubber hits the road, as they say. This knowledge and confidence in the fundamentals of economics will stand you in good stead, because after all,
Perfect.
Business is business.
Thank you. That's been a great answer, very comprehensive, sir. And one last question, does a child have an option for taking up data analytics as a minor or as something else along with a graduation in economics?
Yes. This is where the School of Banking and Finance has recruited faculty who are top-notch in data analytics. The School of Public Policy hasn't got faculty teaching data analytics, but as the Vice Chancellor pointed out, we will encourage our students interested in that to take those courses in the other school, in banking and finance.
Roger.
And eventually we may get, we would like to get faculty in our own school, which we would be able to, because we maintain a 1:8 or 9 ratio in the school itself. And as the number of students joining increases, we get more opportunities to hire new faculty. And data analytics is a very critical part. We do pay a lot of attention to statistics and also to making a lot of sense of India data sets. The all of the census, the NSS data, CMIE data, to help students to make sense and interpret that data. So those skills we can impart. But big data and big data analytics and artificial intelligence is relatively new. We've got the capacity in the School of Banking and Finance, which somebody could take. Perfect. I want Aditya to say something about, supplement what I had to say.
Sure, thanks, Deen.
Introduce yourself, Aditya.
Thank you. I am Aditya Vasit. I joined the Jindal School of Government and Public Policy for a Master's in Public Policy course in 2016, and I graduated in 2018. Just to answer the question Mr. Rajiv asked, Jindal Global University also has an IBM lab that works on big data and analytics. And as the course is very multidisciplinary, a child is free to take up courses from other schools besides the the main courses that the person has to take, and then that person gets to decide where he wants to take his course in. So I, for example, I currently work for the US India Business Council, which is a part of the US Chamber of Commerce. I did my capstone with US India Business Council. And that capstone got chanced upon because I took up a project with the Asia Foundation where we worked on the future of India's development cooperation that the Jindal School of Government and Public Policy, along with the Jindal School of International Affairs, worked with. 5 students from JSGP, 5 students from JSIA worked together along with professors like Professor Milindo Chakrabarti, Sachin Chaturvedi from RIS, and Clarence J. Dias. He's a world-renowned human rights specialist who joined us from New York. He was flown here to our campus. He was there for 40 days working with each one of us to work on a white paper on how the future of India's development cooperation is shifting from a grant-based to a aid-based to where we need to have a mutual cooperation in financial aid. So these are the things that sort of accentuated where I wanted to work, and USIBC basically looked at that aspect of it. So I would recommend and suggest all the students to take up courses from across the schools that there are there. Please do not consider Masters in Public Policy as an alternative to a Masters in Economics. Now the school also has a Masters in Economics specialization. I think the perspective that learning public policy brings is that you understand both the perspectives of, both the sides of the coin. And that is something that is very important for everybody. I think the kind of faculty that we have also imbibes this in us. We we have had faculty mentors every semester. If there's anything that we wanted to, discuss with our faculty, we could really literally barge in their office, sit with them for a cup of coffee. I see Professor Krishanu Karmakar is here. So, this is the kind of a student-professor relationship that I don't think you will find in any other university, where they really help you mentor what you want to do. I'm an engineer by background. I did my graduation in an electrical and electronics engineering, and I was really sulking myself in a tech company called Infosys. And that is when I decided that I don't want to do this, and I shifted my career to a public policy. So, and I was equally apprehensive, like many of the students would be. So I went to Jindal and I spoke with the professors, and I told them that I don't like economics, I don't like maths. It's, it's a I mean, it's a misnomer that engineers are good in maths, but I mean, this is something that I wanted to learn. So the kind of understanding that we got from all our professors just to make us understand what public policy means, and we get the opportunity to drive our own course. I mean, you can't confine it into, so my friends that I see, Aparna Raman is there and a few others are there. Somebody is interested in economics, they can go and work on economic policies. Somebody is interested in financial assistance and financial aid, they can work on that. Somebody is interested in health, environment. Now the college also has a school on environmental law, so you can work on that. I got interested in foreign cooperation and global affairs, so that's how I started working along with it, and technology. So I sort of clubbed my electives in that manner. So I think these are the benefits that you get when you start, your course here at Jindal, and just go and speak with everybody and anybody. I think they're very helpful. All professors, they are really helpful.
Thank you. Thank you. That's wonderful. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Much appreciate that.
Thank you, Aditya. So next we have Sikita Das. Sikita Das.
Good afternoon, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am, we can hear you. Please.
Jindal is not a new place for me. My daughter has passed from Jindal Law School this year only as a BBA law student. And this is for my son who is going to pursue his BA Economics in Jindal. And I had, whatever questions I had, by the time I made my turn came, a lot of them are being answered already. Only thing what I need to he has also got offers for BSc Research in Economics and Finance in comparison to BA Economics in Jindal. So my question would be, how do we play? And when we are talking about taking finance and statistics from other school, do they take it as an elective?
Sir, good afternoon. करके आवाज आएगी.
Hello?
Pardon? Okay, carry on.
Yeah. So do they take it as an elective, or do they take it as one extra this thing for the for the growth of knowledge or something like that? That's what I wanted to ask.
No, so let me explain this. The BA Economics program that we have is a comprehensive foundational program in economics. It's not, you see, a lot of people for marketing purposes may add, some other, whatever fashionable, you could say economics and data analytics. We were talking about that. Now, because data analytics is in vogue, you could say, I'm going to call my degree, we could be economics and data analytics, because we can teach or have the capacity to teach data analytics to students. We are not doing that. This is a solid program, a foundational program in economics. But as I explained, if a student is interested in finance, see, the aim here is really, you need to first have a good range and a grasp of what is it's there in the discipline. Then you begin to understand the discipline, and then you say, okay, I'm going to seek a depth in one of the areas of this discipline. You could become a microeconomist, a macroeconomist, specialize in international trade, specialize in data analytics, specialize in finance. But that's at a late stage. In the sense, the third year, when you get to doing a dissertation, you can then say, this is my area. And as for courses that students take from outside of our school, in some other school, they get credits that go towards this degree. So it's not extra work. It is, you could do all your courses in our school, but we would rather that students don't do that and they take some courses in other schools, particularly if they have a special interest, in which case there could be faculty. See, our faculty are also in a way interchangeable. I mean, I could invite faculty from the business school to come and give lectures. We've had faculty from the business school in our public policy program talk about private-public partnerships as a public policy concern. So that's very flexible. So that's not the concern. So I'm saying our nomenclature, you shouldn't go by, don't judge a book by its cover, because something is called, economics and data analytics doesn't make it superior to something that's just called economics.
Thank you, sir. And one more thing I need to ask, what I have seen in law, you give a lot of emphasis to children. It's being the oldest school in Jindal, extremely good faculties, extremely well taken care of students. I have, like I will lose words for praises for Jindal, what I have seen for my daughter. And I would like to know how about the faculties of economics in comparison to, the standard what Jindal maintains. So
Oh, that's a Jindal standard. I mean, you've said it. Our faculty are really very, very top people, very outstanding. And also not just that, but they're very accessible, as Aditya pointed out. They are willing to spend time with students. And so even though they do a lot of research and try to publish, they don't shut themselves up. They are open to students. So in a way, if you just go by qualifications, the profile of the faculty in the School of Government and Public Policy is superior to that of law, because we have more PhDs, right? The law school doesn't require, the Bar Council doesn't require that an academic should have a doctorate degree in law to be able to teach. So with the result that a number of them, the other thing is we have a lot of practitioners, who've got, I come from a world of policy making, working in the United Nations. We are getting Sandeep Dikshit to join us. He produced the first human development report for Madhya Pradesh. And for 10 years, he was member of parliament for East Delhi. So he comes into the program. So you see that what he brings in would be, what are people who are making decisions, who are running the country, what are they looking for in an economics graduate? What kind of curiosity and skills and knowledge they should have?
Yeah,
that's what I'd say.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Next, we have Areman Gupta. Areman, please switch on your video and unmute yourself.
Good evening, sir. I hope I'm audible.
Yeah, sure.
Sir, I had just had a simple doubt regarding the prestige program that the Vice Chancellor mentioned. I was wondering if you could elaborate further on that for the BA Economics.
Yeah, no, what we've done is that, we normally start the semester in August, and we will start the semester in August for current students. That is the second year and third year and so on. So at the same time, since faculty are lined up, we thought we'll use that month to give an introduction to the course by picking on certain aspects. So for the BA Economics, you will get the program soon enough. I mean, Mani can share it with you. We've already drawn it up, where this is to whet the appetite, as it were. You see, we don't want someone who says, okay, I've signed up, I've not, and then what's happening? Nothing's happening. No, we want students to get engaged. Prestige is an acronym which has, I think, the word engagement somewhere, student engagement, right? So we've designed it in such a way that we've got about half a dozen faculty for each of the 4 programs that we have to talk to students. So for instance, I'd be doing an hour-long session, broadly giving the philosophy and why it is we have structured this program in this way. Then I've requested Sandeep Dikshit to talk about why would qualifications in BA Economics be valued by anybody in public life? What are they looking for? What are the career opportunities if you do a particular program, whether it's MA Economics or public policy or BA? So this is the kind of content that this Prestige 4 weeks interaction would be. It's 2 sessions per week. But it's a kind of a teaser. It's a trailer for what's to come.
So I am a non-economic student. I'm actually a science student. This program, will it be, do I need a previous history? Do I need to attend any, crash courses for economics, or or will joining the degree on my own will help me out?
You mean the BA Economics?
Yes, sir. The BA Economics.
Oh no,
I'm
you
a
don't.
science student.
So there are no prerequisites for it. But Manimala and one of my colleagues, Satyendra, have been sending out some exercises. As I said, it's simply to make students who join economics be a little comfortable using the language of mathematics. That's about it. So it's not rocket science. It's not very demanding, but it's good to know that. I mean, because one of my favorite books in economics was one of my teachers, Amartya Sen, when he published his DPhil. It's called Collective Choice. There is a chapter written in prose, which you can read and perfectly understand. And there are 2 pages as an appendix, which has the same thing stated in the language of mathematics, right? So it just means that you can say what you wish to say and get a grasp of the subject without necessarily using the mathematics. But since more and more of the recent writing and work of economists is using the language of mathematics, you should be literate in that language to understand what it is they are saying. And if you like it, you can use the same language. If you like to use ordinary language, you could use that too. So economics lends itself to both. So it's not that maths is indispensable for economics. Maths is useful and helpful. And since more and more economists use that language, if you need to know what is it that they are saying when they publish an article in a journal, it's good to know the maths that they've been using.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next we have Divya Mehra. Divya Mehra.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. First of all, I want to thank Jindal for taking this session. It's really, really helpful for us in helping us decide.
Please, can you switch on your video?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, thanks.
It hasn't started. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we can see you now.
Yeah. Okay, great. What I wanted to know is that I'm not a student of economics. I have a complete science background and then IT, but my son is interested in economics. And the first question I have is, how does the course content compare to something at Delhi University or at Presidency College, Kolkata, or any one of the other colleges which have been teaching economics for a very long time?
No, I can answer that question in a straightforward way.
Okay.
I did BA Honors Economics in Bangalore University and my MA in the Delhi School of Economics. And many of my classmates in Delhi School of Economics graduated from Presidency College in Kolkata. Now, these are venerable institutions, Delhi University and Presidency. But the difficulty with their undergraduate economics program is that it is not up to date. And this has to do with bureaucratic difficulties in a very large university with a number of affiliated colleges and a very strong teachers union. So to get any syllabus change takes a number of committees and meetings and so on. So while they try to keep abreast, obviously good teachers would want to do that, to make it part of the current curriculum and syllabus in these universities has not been easy, which is not to say that their teachers are not going to expose their students to this because they care about the discipline and they are good teachers, but it's not part of the syllabus. So, the curriculum is outdated in significant respects, which we are a younger and nimble university. We don't have elaborate academic councils, representation of college teachers coming in to tell the university what should be the syllabus and so on. So I'd say that unfortunately to this day, the MA economics in the Delhi University try very hard to get more of India content into it. It's a very theory based program. It's not been easy. And moreover, half the faculty positions are unfilled. So you see, the problem with the public universities is this, that, it's designed, when it started, it has all this reputation. But if you have half the faculty positions unfilled, it's not doing justice to the students. And you have a curriculum that's not abreast. So the big advantage that we would have compared to that situation is that we can, quickly adapt our curriculum actually with some dialogue with the students. And so this is a big change. Listening to students and figuring out what is it that's, they are more keen and interested in learning, and then incorporating that into the program is something we can do. Just this morning, I spent several hours with my faculty discussing how our course structure should be, so that we are sure that each course contributes and adds, and it's not duplicating and saying the same thing with another faculty. So we are able to take some effort in making sure that the teaching that we do is up to date and well-rounded.
Thank you for that, sir. My second question is to do with placement. If my son would be looking for placement after the 3-year course, what kind of support will the institute be providing him?
Well, firstly, most placements would be for postgraduate students. I mean, I was answering a question about the United Nations. The United Nations won't even take an undergraduate student as an intern. You will have to be registered in a postgraduate program to do an internship in the UN. So I think my general advice to someone finishing an undergraduate program would be to think of acquiring a postgraduate qualification. Now, there are some exceptions in that, for instance, the companies like Goldman Sachs or maybe even McKinsey or KPMG sometimes take very young students and give them a good job, a well-paid job. But in my experience, many of them who've done that have then, having done that, have gone on to getting a master's degree. So, it helps to know, okay, I finished my BA Honors Economics. We have a good office for placements, which is improving by the day. It is much better than it was in the time of Ronit Hazarika. So we are getting into MOUs with companies like KPMG, which are receptive to taking an undergraduate student who has just graduated without a postgraduate degree. But those are very few. And by and large, the advice would be, you have to plan to get a postgraduate degree because that's become the kind of minimum now for employment.
So if somebody wanted to do a year or two of work experience and then join post-graduation?
Yes, that's possible, but those opportunities are with these kinds of, companies. I mean, maybe Facebook or Google would do that. The more conventional employers, whether it is in consulting, if you want to be a consultant at Niti Aayog, they would say you should have a postgraduate degree. They won't take a student directly with an undergraduate degree. That's what I think.
The other thing that my son talks about is doing actuary, clearing some papers of actuary along with the course. Now, would he be getting some kind of support from the college to do that, or will he be doing that on his own?
No, we have a new school, a relatively new school in banking and finance, led by a very dynamic colleague, Ashish Bharadwaj. And that school has, of course, since it's banking and finance, and the degree that they are offering is a BCom, right? So most of the students interested in BCom are thinking of cost accounting, CA, company of secretaries, that kind of career. So we have courses already there, right? Which would be helpful. If your son is interested in a professional course in in say insurance and actuarial studies, taking some courses out of the School of Banking and Finance would help him. And we will help in that, because you can get guidance and say,
yeah,
this
he
is
would
the
need
course to take.
guidance on that is
We
what
could
we
do
are
that,
looking at.
yes.
Okay, thank you. That's it. Thank you so much.
Next we can have Vanshaj Parashari.
My name is, hi, good evening. My name is Yash, and here is Vanshaj. We have two questions. And first of all, thank you very much, sir and ma'am, for this it's a very informative discussion. I believe in these kind of in a graduation courses, experience on working on real problems, like in a formation of a clubs like entrepreneurship club or debate clubs, project clubs. They make a lot of difference in the education that the child is getting from it. So do you have these kind of clubs in which students can participate?
But I'll invite some of our past students.
I will request
that.
Aparna Sivaraman, who is the founder of Policy Corner. Aparna?
Interesting.
Can you join us?
Yes, ma'am. Can you hear me?
You should introduce yourself, Aparna. Tell them what you're doing now.
Yes, sir. So my name is Aparna Sivaraman. I passed out with a degree in Master's in Public Policy in 2018. Currently, I work in a research think tank based in Bangalore called the Public Affairs Center. I work primarily as a researcher in the area of governance and gender. So a lot of the work that I do at PAC right now has been because of the kind of experiences I've had at Jindal. So one of the things that I was able to do at Jindal was to form a policy blog called Policy Corner, which was with a friend and classmate of mine called Gitika Khanduja. Both of us had a passion for writing, and we also had a passion of wanting to tell perspectives and stories from people who are actually studying public policy. So this was something that we came up with the idea. We spoke to the dean and our vice dean at that time, and also made this a full-fledged WordPress site with its own sort of student contributions. We formed a proper committee, and we did get a lot of contributions that came out of it. So that way, if you have an idea and if the particular club doesn't exist already in JGU, you have the complete freedom to sort of put forward the idea and take it forward. That way, the faculty are extremely supportive. Apart from which, there are also other extracurricular activities that students are encouraged to participate in. So that's also a great opportunity.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. In my opinion, this has been an extremely powerful way of a development and putting the concept that children are learning and into practice. Thank you very much.
Another question that I have, sir, is that most probably we will be having online classes from 1st September onwards, right? So how do you ensure that the classes will be as rigorous as it would be in the own classroom itself in the university?
Well, I have to say that we learned many lessons. We had to complete the semester for the students, many of whom have now graduated. They finished their exams. So this online pedagogy was certainly something new. But when we got into it, we've got a lot of feedback from our students. And we insisted that our IT provide us with various techniques, that is, to use a whiteboard, to be able to draw graphs and so on, which you can't do in Zoom very easily. But we've got Microsoft Team, and we've customized that for the kinds of teaching that we have to do. So we are worked very hard on this. So I think the learning experience would be pretty good. It's not quite the same because you're not, but let me tell you some things that happened. In a classroom, what happens is there are some students who are always asking the questions, who are very articulate. And there are others who are a little more passive, who sit in the back bench and don't, feel like asking. But this changed context where each person is by themselves and they are not with other boisterous or loquacious classmates, many people who would not otherwise speak up and ask questions are able to do that. So there are surprising advantages to this modality of teaching. But of course, what's missing, of course, is the social life and students learning from one another. That is a very important part. But, in terms of transmitting the knowledge, in terms of interactivity, my point really is that the online thing enables more interactivity between faculty and the student, like we are now doing, right? Now, you raised a question, I'm able to pay attention to you, I'm looking at you. That makes a difference. And it improves the quality of transmission of knowledge, because sometimes, so you may be looking out of the window, there may be a pretty girl outside, those things are eliminated in online. So it helps.
Yes, sir. Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much, sir.
Thanks. Next, we have Krunal Parekh. Krunal.
Good evening, sir. Am I audible?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so my question is very simple. Like Aditya Vashisht, I sail in the same boat. I'm currently pursuing engineering and into my final semester. I have coordinated with Mr. Hemant Sharma, and he's very accessible and very helpful. Now my question is, I have not been able to give my final year examination because of the postponement and the other things UGC has done. And according to the UGC's guideline, the examination would be conducted by the end of September. And in JGU, we are to start the academics in the on the 1st of September. So my question is, how would be this all orchestrated?
Yeah, well, I think Hemant should answer this question, but I'd say, speaking as the dean of my school, right, in given these extraordinary circumstances, you've cleared an entrance exam, which is, and maybe one of our faculty would interview you. That means that we judge you to be eligible to come into our program. Now, the fact that you need to have an undergraduate degree to pursue a postgraduate degree is a sort of a UGC expectation, but you can earn that after joining. In my view, that shouldn't hold you back, because our admission criterion is not entirely just that, that you have that degree. The admission criterion is really, do you have an aptitude for the program of studies that you wish to take up? And do you have the kind of prerequisite kind of knowledge in terms of maturity to come into a postgraduate program? So if you meet those criteria, you can join. And then, sometimes, people have completed their degrees, but the university bureaucracy has not released their transcript, has not given them their degree certificates. This has happened to students in the past. So what is it in the end? It's a proof that you finished it, right? But if you know you're going to finish it, you finish it. Now, if you fail to finish it, then you can complete our MA degree, and then you have to wait till you finish it. And when we see that piece of paper, we can give our subsequent piece of paper that tells you you are a master's in the program. But that shouldn't stop you from learning and joining the program.
Yes, sir. I just like to add here is that maybe I must have informed Krunal as well and other students that many universities have postponed their exams to an indefinite period. Like Delhi University were supposed to conduct their final semester from 1st to 15th of July, but now they are in the first week of August. So similarly, other universities across the country are, have postponed their exams. So we will give sufficient time to submit their final mark sheet, clear mark sheet. And as and when they receive, that depends on the area to area when the university issues the degree. In your case, maybe by November end, you will be able to get your degree. And before the first semester happens, you are required to submit your degree to us, right?
Okay. Okay, right. That answers my question. Thank you.
Stick in there, yeah.
Sure, sir.
So next we have Hari Shankar. Hari Shankar.
Please.
He's coming. His video is on. His mic is unmute. Hari Shankar.
Mani, could you please ask him to unmute himself?
He's unmute already.
Yeah, but why can't we hear?
Yeah, he's there. Hari, we can't hear you.
Hari, you please unmute yourself. We believe
he's unmuted, but there's some problem.
He's unable to. We are unable to hear because the volume is off.
We'll come back to Hari Shankar while he fixes his technical.
Hello.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, hello, sir.
Go ahead.
I'm Hari. I'm from Chennai. I've gotten admitted in the BA Economics Honors Program. I wanted to know about the scholarship opportunities that are available and also the scholarship forms, about when they will be released for the application.
Yeah, Ankur, can you answer that question? Is Ankur there?
He's
okay. So Hemant, you can answer the question.
Yes, yes.
Let me just tell you that the university has a policy of taking a certain percentage of the fee income and distributing it as scholarships.
Yes.
Now, what percentage of the fee income can be distributed as scholarships varies from year to year and from program to program. But we will have a scholarship system, which is generally a means and merit system. So what the university has been doing is, if someone can afford to pay the fees, we give them a certificate of merit saying they would have got the scholarship, but since the earnings of the parents as evidence from income tax returns is high, they won't get the cash. But if someone qualifies on the means, they will get the cash and the merit. So that's the broad principle. As to when the decision on who will get scholarship decisions will be made is with our admissions office.
That's what, let me brief a little bit more. See, after you are qualified, after you get qualified for the course, we will conduct the interview with you, and the simple criteria, merit and means basis is there, where in case if your annual both parents income goes over and above 30 lakhs, then automatically you do not become eligible for this scholarship. But yes, what Dean has just said, you will get a.
So we've lost Hemant. Mani, we can't hear Hemant. So, Ankur, you're here. Hemant can't be heard. Can you carry on with the question about when will you make decisions on scholarships?
This
BA
is
Economics. BA Economics.
BA Economics, we are going to make the scholarships announcement by 7th of August. We are going to open the application forms on Monday. So you will all receive an email from us asking for your documents with regards to academics, financial documents. There is a whole list of documents that you need to submit. Post that, we will take about 1 week time to revert back to you. But 7th of August, you will have your scholarships with you.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much.
Okay. Mani, next.
We are done with the questions. Right.
Oh, good. Okay. So I just wanted, before we still have an audience for Aparna Raman.
She wanted to share her experiences.
Yes.
JGU,
Yes.
So.
Yeah, Aparna, why don't you, just give a flavor? I mean, since you're a bit of a polymath, lawyer, business management, public policy, all that.
Thanks, Professor Sudashin. Actually, I had to leave for another meeting. We have a petition coming up in the Supreme Court on actually a lot of these educational institutions now are going, and I would completely agree with Raj. Good evening, everybody. It is really wonderful to have this open house for JSGP. So just quickly, I'm a practicing lawyer advocate in Delhi. Based in Delhi and Chennai, I have my own law firm now, and I, formed my practice over the course of 5 years, during which I also did policy. I met Raj and Professor Deen Sudashin, and I was very convinced to choose Jindal Global University over National Law School, Bangalore. My lawyer from, I was trained as a lawyer in Singapore, so it actually JGU gave me the same experience as almost in terms of faculty, in terms of access to resources, in terms of standard of training as I had in NUS. I don't have to say more because NUS is considered at par with Harvard University. I'm not surprised at all when Raj messaged us and said that we were the #1 university in India. It was just a matter of time, actually. And also my own experience, my clients now has been that they are looking for skill-based, skill-intensive depth of research, knowledge, and skills. So we have gone deep now, and institutions like JGU actually believed in that. They've been training for this since years. The faculty also has immense specialization. I have not seen the same kind of India and international balance of faculty anywhere else, in the private universities and even in the public universities. I have the same alma mater as Raj, Delhi University. I went to LSR, I went to all these institutions, but in recent memory, I really think that JGU has been the one institution where I personally found so much of learning curve, so much of growth for my own research and what I do today, and it helps you establish on your own. Whether you're employed, whether you're a consultant, whether you're, is wanting to start your own business or like me, your own practice. So because I come from a background of banking also. So whatever background you have, JGU is the ultimate interdisciplinary and diversified university. And now is the age where we have to bring it all together, I feel. Based on my meetings, whatever I've had post-COVID, post-corona and post-lockdown, it is important, and I know Mr. Sudashin appreciate this. The doctrine of separation of powers is de not really de facto anymore.
Thank you. Thank you, Aparna.
Right.
Thank you for that. It's very kind of you. There was a question about opportunities to study abroad. Wasn't there, Mani, on the chat?
Avni was there. She has read something regarding this, the opportunities to study abroad. Avni, are you?
No, basically, very quickly, what I'd like to say on that is that, our school is a member of a number of international associations, which have other member institutions and universities. Our university itself has a number of MOUs, but all of these have to be customized. It depends on the student. What we'd like to do is to give opportunities to students to at least do 1 semester abroad. And that could be the institution they could go to. In the case of the BA Honors Economics, we've got a student who's going to do the 3rd year entirely in the London School of Economics, because the London School of Economics has a 1-year degree program. So the credits that the student earns doing that program are relevant and pertinent to fit in with the overall scheme and the integrity of our BA Honors in Economics. So in which case, we permit the student to go do that. And at the end of 3 years, that student would get our degree and would get also the LSc degree, which is a 1-year degree, having done those courses. But we spend a little time examining what is it that somebody is going to go and do in another place, and how closely integrated it is to the integrity of our own program, right? So it could be that they are learning things which we don't have the capacity to teach here, but as long as it is directly related to the qualification, then we would permit that. So there are these opportunities, but I'd say they have to be all examined on a case-by-case basis. And we have an Office of International Affairs, with competent staff who help students with this. One of our difficulties, I must admit, frankly, with exchange programs is that we still need an inflow of international students. So we had arrangements with Georgetown University and Indiana, but some of our students went there. But then after a point, Indiana and Georgetown need to find students who want to come here. And this is where we are in a world, unfortunately, which is north and south. So, students who are in Indiana would prefer to take a year off or a semester off and go to Berlin or Oxford or Bologna rather than come to Sonipat. Now, that's a reality with which we have to contend, but we are working at it.
Vani has some query. Vani, would you like to ask your question? Ronit, you want to say something? Please pitch in. You need to unmute yourself.
Sorry. No, she's on mute, I think. Oh, now, right. It's sorted out. Right.
Yeah. I have applied for, this is from my son, who has done his BA Economics from Christ University, Bangalore.
Yeah.
PU board exams with economics in first year PUC and second year PUC. With history, sociology, economics, and political science as a core subjects, but he has not taken maths as a subject for him. Will he be qualified to take a BA honors in OP Jindal?
Yes, the short answer is yes, and we make efforts to bring the student up to speed with the maths that's required. So what we are planning to do is we already have started some exercises, and then we are planning to spend a bit of the first semester in what we are calling a math and stats boot camp, right? So just so that that student is at the same level as other students who are going to study the subject. It's not intimidating, it's enjoyable, and it's very doable. So we are not saying if you, all those who are, we expect that everyone who is joining the program will do the boot camp. We may administer a test, and if some students are very good at maths and they've done this already, then we don't want to waste their time going over stuff that they already know. We would do something else with them in that time, but we will bring every student up to speed. And this is something we've had to learn, because when we started the BA Honors Economics program, we didn't quite pay attention to this prerequisite, and therefore we have adapted our program so that we give this initial grounding in the maths and stats that's needed. So there's no problem with, if you come for Christ, is a good place with very good teachers. We have students from there. I have a high regard for the quality of that institution. And someone who's graduating from there is very welcome to be with us.
Thank you.
We are done with the question round.
No, there's somebody who says, Avani Dingra.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, ask.
Sir, like you said, the overseas study, let's say I want to pursue my post-graduation completely from abroad. So what you mentioned were the opportunities for bachelors, right? What I could opt for while I'm doing my economics honors BA. I could opt for a year abroad, but I want to do my post-graduation entirely abroad. Does the university offer any assistance in that case?
You mean after your BA?
Yes, sir.
Oh, after your BA, of course. I mean, in the sense that since we have these MOUs and relationships with different universities, you could go and study somewhere else. What I'm talking about is opportunities where you study somewhere else and earn a credit for the degree that you're currently doing in our university.
Yes.
So this is, this is a semester exchange or a dual degree. So the dual degree is what I explained with respect to the undergraduate program in economics that you could do with London School of Economics, spend a whole year. But if you want to go and do a postgraduate degree in another university, what I'd say is that because of the standing and reputation that Jindal University has built up, the top universities in the world will take our students seriously. And they have a good chance of, getting admitted in a very competitive program. That's about all I could say, but then it's the choice of the student concerned.
Okay, I had another question. Let's say I did my master's in economics. So what are the career prospects after that?
Now you see, basically economics is such a field that's in so much demand that practically any career would do, where you could make yourself useful. It could be in the corporate sector. It could be in research think tanks that do research and policy analysis. It could be in international institutions, the World Bank, the Young Professionals Program of the World Bank. If you qualify with an MA in economics in our school, I'm hopeful that a good number of the graduating batch in MA economics would stand a good chance of being selected as a young professional in the World Bank or the IMF or in WTO, because the substantive knowledge that you have in economics will be good for qualifying for the young professional program, which involves an exam and it involves an interview. But anyone with a good MA degree in economics is what these institutions seek. One thing though, I must say though, the World Bank has expanded and is not limiting its young professionals only to economists as it used to do in the past. It now takes students from political science or a sociology background just as much. So these are the career opportunities. If somebody wants to, has the time and wants to qualify for the civil services examinations, I think if they took the economic subjects in the civil service exams, having done the MA with us, it would be easy and they would do well. In fact, our syllabus, of course, is much more up to date and advanced than the Union Public Service Commission syllabus for its exams is seriously outdated. But nonetheless, you could do very well doing civil service exams. So all careers are open. Economics is a discipline that's valued, but I would like to see a world where a more rounded knowledge of social science is valued and not just somebody who's very much a narrow economist. So what I'm trying to say is if you study economics in our school, you will not be a very narrow, blinkered economist. You'd be an economist who has a good grasp and sense of what insights there are from other disciplines.
Thank you, sir.
So Mani, are we done?
Yes, sir. I would like to thank you for taking all the queries. I would like to thank our alumni, Ronet, Aparna Sivaraman.
It's very good to see them. It's wonderful.
Ronet, everybody here, and the faculty who joined us, and the parents and the students who are still with us and having the queries. If they have certain queries, they can raise it with the admission office. And if there are a number of queries, we can raise another open house.
Oh, there's one question about 4 credits. Can we, 4 years? You see, it's not the case that all universities want a 4-year program. I mean, we've got students who have graduated from our BA Economics program who've got admission in very good universities in the United States on the basis of their 3-year program, right? So it's not the case that every university for their master's degree requires that there be a 4-year undergraduate program that should be completed. But there may be some that have that requirement. But so far, we are very pleased that our graduates who are interested, have gone on to doing postgraduate studies in Geneva or in Michigan, very good universities, LSE, of course. It's only the US universities, some of them have this 4-year requirement. But we in an effort to kind of deal with this, I mean, Ashoka's already had wanted a 4-year liberal arts program that was stopped by the UGC, so it's 3 years. But they have an additional year, which those who graduate in liberal arts in Ashoka can do. And we are doing the same thing with our liberal arts program.
As Jindal Fellowship Program.
Yeah, so, but I don't think that that's a serious limitation for further studies abroad. Very good universities will be quite satisfied with a good degree and good grades in our 3-year program.
Yes. Thank you, sir. And thank you, students. Thank you, Ronit. Thank you, Aparna. And we hope to join again very soon. And students, in case if you have any question, you can please directly write to your respective admission counselor and admissions office. Thank you very much for attending us. Thank you very much. Goodbye.
Thank you, Hemant. Thank you, Professor. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And